First, let me apologize to start off here. As you can see, I'm noticeably irritated, angry, upset. And there's a good reason why. Mr. Mansfield up here corroborated, he pounded that into your heads, right? Again, all Travis corroborated was his own story. That's it. He literally, all those details that he just handed out to you, the drawing the map, the I said this, I did that, all this stuff. Yeah, somebody who's there who did the crime could actually tell you all those things. Makes sense. And he's saying that's the only thing that makes sense is that Travis is actually, believable. Okay, well, when I put myself on the stand yesterday, Mr. Mansfield didn't impeach my testimony once. Not once. Did he say, prove that I lied anywhere in there? Then he goes ahead and he corroborates my testimony by saying, oh, you told the investigators the same thing 6 years ago. Yes, I did. And why I'm upset? 6 years ago. And after 6 years, the state comes up here with Travis said. That's why I'm here, right? That's what it boils down to. And, I got to say, yes, I am upset. I'm literally sick to my stomach right now.
Objection, Judge, to the improper argument.
Well, I will overrule the objection. If you're sick and need to take a break, sir, I'll certainly give you an opportunity.
I meant I'm sick, because I had to sit there and listen to this.
Okay.
Again, Mr. Mansfield even says in his argument, in his closing argument, 2 guys. That's what all the evidence says. That's what it said from the beginning. Go back to the corroboration. Again, Cosme video. Doesn't corroborate Travis's story. Even Detective Fernandez, who he brings up, says corroborates Travis's story, right? No, he doesn't. He says, when I asked him, can you see anybody in the truck? Can you see anybody, a getaway driver, sitting in the truck? Fernandez says no. You can't see anybody sitting in the truck. We went over that ad nauseum, right? Nobody's sitting in the truck, so that doesn't corroborate Travis's story. Do you see 2 people getting out of where the truck was? Sure. But what's to say that wasn't Travis? How does that end up being me? That the prosecutor never says. Not once does he say how that becomes me. Anyway, so let's go on from there. We've got, Malone. Detective Malone. Now, here's the thing, another point that was making me very ill. The prosecution went ahead and they made sure that you didn't hear about the investigation, how it went.
Objection, Judge, improper argument.
And I will sustain that objection.
Okay. So, anyway, let's go here. I came here. I was living, right? I live in Oregon. That's where I live now. I didn't try and hide from this thing. I came here of my own free will, hopped on a plane, came down to Key West, right? Yeah, as Mr. Mansfield suggested, my wife is a multimillionaire. That's true. Absolutely. I could be standing in front of you with slick lawyers, that kind of thing.
Judge, improper argument.
I will overrule the objection.
Can we come sidebar?
Yes.
And look, I put myself before you guys, and almost every piece of evidence the prosecution wanted to put in, I let them. I didn't object. Go ahead, put it in. Go ahead, put it in. Why? Because not any of that says I did anything. None of it. Now, he wants to go to the DNA results, and they want to use inconclusive as a positive, right? That's what they're trying to do. Now, inconclusive means exactly that, inconclusive. And then, to boot, when he starts, talking about the sweatshirt and the gloves, these are things that weren't even recovered from the crime scene, don't have anything to do with the crime as far as we know, right? They were recovered from the warehouse, that's true, somewhere's in there in the warehouse. They didn't put those into evidence. Those weren't found at the crime scene. They weren't found to have the victim's blood or DNA or anything like that on them. They're found to be in the warehouse. Again, that means nothing. Going back to it again, looking at this, okay, what is it? Let's see. Oh, yeah, so he wants to say, again, Travis's story is corroborated, right? Again. The weapons. We go down to the weapons. Travis says, a pipe and a knife. Roger Ruggett, who he said is very believable, very credible, right? Okay, he says 2 knives. That's what he says. Now, Paula does say something about a smaller knife later. That's true. And yes, she believes it's to be Roger Ruggett's, not one of the ones that was brought to the scene. And again, it was never put into evidence as something being found at the scene. So, okay, again, it's just trying to confuse and literally trying to dilute your minds with things that don't mean anything. None of this means anything. I go over, and I was looking at all the witnesses that they brought, right? All these witnesses. Okay, yes, Dr. Speckbauer comes in and says that knife killed Matthew Bonnett, right? Okay, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. But what says I'm carrying that knife? What says that I'm using that knife? Nothing, right? That just says that, that knife was used to kill Matthew Bonnett, right? Okay, they bring the DNA expert. DNA expert says, you don't find my DNA anywhere, on any item, anything that has to do with this crime. Again, the best they can pull out is the inconclusive on some things that weren't even found in the crime scene. Now, again, I'm not trying to mislead anybody. I'm telling you guys, like I said, I put let them put in what they want, let them put up the testimony they want, anything they wanted. And this is the best they have. After 6 years, and yes, I'm angry. I'm not going to say I'm not. That would be a lie too. I get up there, and I'm looking at this, didn't happen, didn't need to, all right, hold on. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is another one. Talks about corroboration. The clothes. I want to go back to the clothes that people were wearing. Travis's story. He takes us back to the warehouse. We go upstairs. We change into dark clothing. That's what he said. That's what he testified to. Paula, on the other hand, testifies that Rory Wilson's wearing the same clothes, and he actually uses this in his PowerPoint, that Paula testifies, wearing the same clothes she saw him in earlier that day. So where did he change clothes? Again, where'd that happen? Because if he's wearing the same clothes he's wearing that afternoon, then why isn't he in different clothes? Because Travis said he went up and changed. So how's that corroborated? It's not. Again, and then you talk about Travis's testimony, matching the other witnesses, matching the other evidence that's in this case, right? Travis tries to put the knife in my hand. Well, the DNA says differently. Now, again, how do you explain, again, you can say that, oh, well, he may have used gloves. Well, okay, no, again, Travis, he says he doesn't see anybody put on gloves. Nobody else says that either. Okay, so how does that happen? If the knife is in my hand and I'm committing a crime with it, it should have my DNA on it. That's that simple. They use that for that crime. Again, and then go back to the felony murder thing and the whole idea of, you have to, it doesn't matter whether you participated or whether or not that you participated, that you actually killed the person. Well, he can't even prove any of that. You can't prove I was there. You can't prove that I actually committed any crime, that I actually did anything, that I even discussed a crime with them. He can't even prove that. He can't prove one element of his case, not one. We'll talk about somebody who's being misleading, somebody who's trying to hide things. Okay, he wants to talk about, okay, the conversation I had at McDonald's with Paula, right? And how, I discussed how I had the knife. and not how I had the knife, but how I knew the knife was, it was Matt's blood on the knife, right? But then he doesn't want me to tell you about what interrogators talked to me about when I was down when I was down being grilled all night. What they actually told me.
Judge, I'm going to object. Can we come sidebar?
Yeah, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, you'll have to forgive me. It's upsetting.
Keep your voice up, please.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, I went down to the station. I was there all night. You have to, again, I can't tell you how the interrogation or the interview went. I can't tell you what they told me. I can't tell you anything about that. Which again, it is very frustrating, not to be able to provide you with any of that information. I wish I could. And again, Mr. Mansfield also alluded to, nothing being tampered with, nothing, being, was it mishandled or whatever. Again, I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Judge, again, objection to the way he's stating this. There's no evidence of mishandling of evidence or
Again,
tampering.
In any event, we're going to, members of the jury, remember this is closing argument, all right? And it's based upon the evidentiary record, and we're limited to the evidence, both sides, that is in the trial. Not beyond that, so Mr. Tucker can certainly make arguments pertaining to the evidence in the trial.
Okay.
In terms of rulings that the judge made, that's really not for a juror's consideration. So.
And, Your Honor, I would just submit that even by saying what he just said, it's again, you're going beyond stuff that's been admitted into the trial.
Well, but in any event,
But
just
I'll
continue with
watch
your
myself.
argument.
I'll watch myself. Again, let's go back to this. Okay, same clothes. Then the hoodie thing. Travis Johnson never mentions that once. I don't think anywhere in his testimony he ever talks about a hoodie. Hoodie, was it a hoodie thing with a hoodie mask or anything like that? Where that actually comes from is from Paula Belmont's, her testimony. That is there. I don't remember Travis Johnson ever once talking about a hoodie. But he does talk about a neck gaiter. He does talk about that. And the neck gaiter thing, okay, he submits that, it's good for covering up a beard, all this other stuff. It's like, okay, it's also good for covering a face. That's it, right? And you would think, out of all these witnesses we've had, right? Some of them you heard, some of them you haven't, but the ones that you've even heard here, okay, if you have a neck gaiter covering up your face with Jägermeister written all over it, you think somebody probably would have said that. Somebody would have identified that, right? But does anybody? No. They identify it as two skull masks. They identify it as a hoodie thing, depending on which way, what angle I guess they saw them from. You know, I can't say, but I can say this. You would think that, you know, Jägermeister all over your face would probably be something you could identify, I would think. Then we go back to this. It's like, okay, yeah, loves the word corroborated. That was one. And, you know, I couldn't believe corroborated. There's nothing corroborated here. Then he goes into the masks that, that Travis describes in the video. And again, that's not attributed to me at all. That is attributed to Rory Wilson again. Yes, Rory Wilson apparently wore this skull mask or a demon mask, whatever you want to call. Yes, it's fearsome. It's nasty. I'm not going to say it's not. I've seen it. But at the same time, it's not something that he's saying I'm wearing. It has nothing to do with it, right? So, okay, then you've got the knife. And again, going back to that. Travis had a nice knife collection. I can't testify as far as for Travis, but what I can say is he could describe that knife in great detail, down to ball bearings in it. Yet, it's supposed to be my knife. Now, if it's my knife, how do you get in such great detail? I just, again, it doesn't make sense as far as that goes. I mean, the guy, he sits there and he can describe every little detail of this knife, but he's going to try and say it's mine. I can't do that. I couldn't do it back then. I can't do it now. So, again, I don't understand that. Let's see. We got into the, Travis saying that Rory was with that mask, but then he tries to attribute it to me. Knife, great detail. Okay. And, oh, yeah. One more second. Oh, no. We can have that one, too. Okay, so, he also makes a big point to talk about what they don't know. What they don't know, right? Okay, which seems to be a lot, right? Again, you look at all the evidence in this case. Like I said, I can go down the witnesses. I can go down all the evidence in this case. There's not a single thing that says I did anything other than Travis Johnson. That's it, right? And Danielle Malone, based on Travis Johnson, right? She admits that on the stand. Her story comes from Travis Johnson. Okay, well, again, talk about credibility-wise. And, he did try and say that Travis threw out my name without being told by Captain Phelps. That's not true either. If you watch that video when you go back in there, that's not true. What she does is says, if I remember correctly, it's we all know who the asshole in this story is, right? Again, and then he replies back, is it Ty? That's not him coming out and saying, Ty did, Ty's the one who did it. That would be a strong statement. That would be, okay, Ty did it. No. Is it Ty? Because he's looking to please Captain Phelps. Now, that's another thing. I did put in the whole Captain Phelps video with Travis, right? So I could show you where that whole getaway driver story came from. She literally tells him the entire story. He parrots it back. All he says is, yeah, that's what happened, right? Now, the details after that, of course he knows the details. He was there. He can go ahead and draw a map. He can go ahead and tell you, man, there's two guys getting out. And he can tell you all that stuff. Why? He's there. That's simple. I mean, again, nothing that says I was there. It just says he was there, right? So, okay, you got that. And, the whole parroting back thing, yes, there are things in that, and I knew when I put that video on there. Yes, there's some testimony in there that makes me sound horrible. But again, when you listen to that testimony, but April Walker, she's not here to testify. There's a good reason why. Captain Phelps, who headed the investigation, right? Headed the investigation, the one that's in that video. She's not here to testify. There's a good reason why.
Violation of Halliburton.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection.
And that's for curative.
Well, you're going to have to approach and members of the jury, please disregard any mention of Penny Phelps not being here to testify in this trial. Okay, you can continue.
Okay. We go back to Roger Ruggett. You know, prosecutor again comes up and he wants to say that, you know, I did like this and I go like this. Is Roger Ruggett, you know, is talking about the height of the person who actually attacked him, right? Well, unfortunately for the prosecution, Travis is pretty close to the same height as I am, almost, you know, pretty close. And yes, I don't think Roger Ruggett, again, I think he is a credible witness. I don't think he's lying one bit, you know. And when I asked him if he knew my name, I asked him that because, okay, in the report that they used to get me here, yes, it says specifically that Roger Ruggett said I, within my name, did this. Roger Ruggett said he didn't say that, right? He didn't say that, but that was what was in the report.
Objection, Judge. The fact's not in evidence.
I believe there was some examination of that report, so I'll overrule the objection.
And yes, the report was also used by Danielle Malone when she gave her testimony. So, you know, when she was doing the video. And we go back to Danielle Malone. Now, again, we could probably go all day on that. But Danielle Malone, she testified she was what? The fourth investigator down on the hierarchy here. And again, you heard yesterday when I asked her about Anthea Clay, right? And in their own words, yes, Anthea Clay was a suspect. Anthea Clay was never tried to be apprehended. You know, they tried, as a matter of fact, again, you know, we asked plenty of times about Anthea Clay, but, you know, again, we find her, 2 years later? Guess where she is? 2 doors down from the crime where she was.
Okay, I'll sustain that
That's not
objection.
evidence.
Okay.
I will sustain the objection. Your deliberations in the argument are limited to the evidence that was presented.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, in the evidence presented, you saw the video with Paula Belmont in the hospital. And yes, Paula did change her story many times. You know, she won't deny that. You know, there were different reasons for that, because Paula Belmont did testify in the perpetuated testimony that her discussions with Detective Pitcher over and over again. Yeah, there was a time she questioned whether or not I did it. And that's understandable when the police are telling you that. She testifies to that in that perpetuated testimony. So yes, she does waver on her testimony. And then the video we saw yesterday at the hospital. This woman, okay, she had just gone through this crime. Just gone through this crime, right? And she's being questioned in the hospital. And yeah, I mean, there's some things she's saying in there that definitely could be misconstrued. I mean, when I played that one in the very beginning, it almost makes it sound like she's saying Todd is dead. You know, which Todd was the guy who goes and runs up the hill and, you know, gets the 911 caller. But it makes it sound that way, right? You know, but the one thing she is very clear about, she's very clear about this. Anna did this. Anna is the one who set this up. Anna is the one who wanted me beat up. She tried to do it with other people. Melissa Damas, she tried to do it with Crystal Dinklocker. You know, literally tried to set this crime up with other people, right? But yet she doesn't rise to the level of a suspect. Now, I know I'm not allowed to talk about, you know, the investigation or anything like that. But, again, you got a question is, you know, okay, this is a homicide detective, right? She's supposed to be investigating this crime, and yet that doesn't rise to the level of a suspect. So that is questionable. Again, her testimony as an expert, or was it not expert, it's her experience and her training is what she says. You know, due to my experience and my training, I can identify this in this video. When we played the video for you guys, you can't see anything in there. You can't see anything except shadows, and you can't identify a single person in there, yet they want to say it corroborates Travis's story. Okay, yes, Travis drove the truck there. I believe that all day. You know, yes, I believe that they probably went around, you know, once, you know, trying to case the joint, trying to figure out, you know, if there's anybody watching, whatever. You know, but I also believe Travis and Rory got out of that truck. And I believe Travis went and committed this crime. Now, Travis, yeah, when I did my my cross on Travis, you know, you saw how he went from being the sweet, innocent, you know, getaway driver to, again, he was highly agitated, I guess that's the best way I could put it, but again, I was a little nervous there for a second, I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is okay, so, again, his story changes and vacillates, which that was another one, the whole vacillating thing. We went through that, and I actually asked him specifically, I was like, okay, does that mean you're not telling the truth? Does that mean you're lying? Is that a fancy way of saying it? I actually had to look up what the word meant. I didn't even know. But yet, the prosecutor and Travis both use this word repeatedly. Vacillating. Oh, I was vacillating. You were vacillating. Okay. It's a fancy word for saying lying, right? And he.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
And he admits it the next day when he comes in to finish his testimony. He comes back here, and immediately, when Mr. Mansfield puts him on redirect, he comes back and he says, were you not telling the truth? And he finally says it. He finally says, no, I wasn't telling the truth to begin with. He wasn't. That's true. He wasn't telling the truth. I think you guys can figure that out. I don't need to tell you what, the difference between vacillating and lying. You can figure that out for yourselves. But no, he did not tell the truth when he first got in there, right? Hasn't told the truth since. But he wants you to believe him now. Now he's credible, right? Now he's credible. But again, you're talking about the deal again. This man is getting off a life sentence. He's getting out of his part of this crime, by saying that I did this. That's what it boils down to. He's trading my life for his. And yeah, he got a hell of a deal, 5 years. That's what he got, the time he did in jail. And all he has to do is testify against me. Now, again, I get up there, I tell my story. You may not like me. You may not like my lifestyle, anything like that, anything like that. But it doesn't mean I did this, and I got out there and I told the truth. Told it, as I can remember, as much as I can remember the truth, and as much as I'm allowed to tell, because I'm not allowed to say everything. I wish I could. But no, I get up there and I tell my story, and Mr. Mansfield comes up here, and if you look at the questions he asked me, were they about the crime? They weren't about the crime. He pulls out a picture of me with my beard. Look at this guy. Oh, he was staying at Cots. Like that makes me a murderer because I'm staying at Cots? How does that play into it? He asked me all these questions that none of them really have anything to do about the crime. It's literally trying to, again, I look, a certain way, I live a certain way, or I live someplace. Again, what's that have to do with anything? Other than trying to confuse you to the facts. The facts are pretty simple, He even says, everything says two people. Everything. Everything in this crime, it says two people except Travis. That's it. And if I'm Travis, yeah. And Captain Phelps goes ahead and tells me, this story. Let me tell you a story, because you're the driver, and you picked them up, you drove them down there. They got out, they did this. Yeah, and you're right. He didn't know about felony murder when he's given this story. He's fully believing that Captain Phelps is going to take care of him. That Captain Phelps is going to make sure that he doesn't get charges on this crime. That's what he's believing. That's true. But again, he doesn't know about felony murder. So now he's tagged with that, right? Well, now the only way to get out of that is to give you somebody else. That's it. And I am upset. I am very upset. I can't tell you how much. It's cost me 6 years so far. Anyway, so let's see. We're going back to Paula's testimony. We went through the consistency on that. Again, when she's in the hospital, she's in a state of, again, she's just gone through this horrible crime. She just saw her friend get killed. And yeah, we don't know if she's on medications. We don't know anything about it other than, yes, she says one thing, and at this time she says something else when she gets, again, a chance to think about it. Actually calm down. Maybe not be on meds. And actually think about things. Mr. Mansfield, again, you want to talk about bringing up things that don't mean anything. Okay, yes, Paula and I become friends, and yes, she takes a trip to California, and you allude to her lifestyle. but she was staying at Cots or something like that. But now, but then tries to throw in the fact that I have a wealthy wife. What's that have to do with anything? You know, has nothing to do with anything. You know, but yeah, he's going to throw that in there. You know, I mean, again, this whole corroborates thing. What corroborates Travis's story? That's what you got to look back at. What really does, other than his own testimony? You know, other than the police he told, right? He told his story to the police. Now, whether or not they wanted to believe it, that's up to them, you know, but at the same time, it's the only thing they're using against me. That's it. And when he had his chance, he has me up on the stand. He can ask me anything he wants. And yet, not one thing proved I was lying. Not one. And then he asked me again, you know, going back to the police station, did you tell the same story 6 years ago? Yes, I did. My story hasn't changed. Unlike Mr. Mansfield said, Travis's story hasn't changed the whole time. But I watched it change on the stand. Literally, it went from one day it was this, and the next day it's that. But mine hasn't changed over 6 years. And I haven't taken a deal. I haven't taken a deal to do anything, because, again...
Objection, Judge, and proper argument.
Okay.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right, let's see. You know, okay, and that's the other one. Travis says he goes to get cigarettes on the video for Florida Keys Electric. Who's to say that's true? Who says that's true? Because me personally, you know what I want to, you know what I would actually submit? Again, if he just committed this crime with Roy Wilson, he's going to go up to, to the Tom Thumb to get cigarettes? Or is he going up there to check out what happened and where Rory is? You know, because, I mean, he left Rory behind, supposedly, right? Well, wouldn't you kind of wonder what happened if you were him? Wouldn't you want to go check it out? Make sure that, you know, did Rory get busted by the police? Is he going to be talking? Who knows? I don't know. I know he came back with Rory Wilson. I do know that. I know they don't have me on video doing anything, not a single thing, right? No physical evidence, right? So there's no physical evidence putting me there. There is no video evidence putting me there. There is no forensics evidence putting me there. Nothing puts me there committing this crime. Right? Nothing actually puts me even, again, if you want to talk about, you know, the definition, I looked up the definitions, you know, that we have for, you know, felony murder and all, and the other charges. I don't even have to be there, right? But okay, what's to say I had anything to do with it, even if I wasn't there? There's nothing saying I actually, you know, sat here and conspired with those guys. No, it says that at all, right? And again, for as much as Mr. Mansfield doesn't like my story, he hasn't shown anything that says it's wrong. So, okay, you know, and when you talk about who's going to be believable, yes, and okay, Paula Belmont, yes, she does eventually realize that it was, you know, again, that voice did not match mine, and it may have been because we became friends. I don't know, right? I really don't. I'm not her. I can't tell you that, but I do know that yes, she realizes that that was not the same voice she heard, right? Okay, I like I said, I can't speak for her. You know, as far as you know, and you know, as far as Paula's friendship and my friendship, I told you yesterday on the stand how that happened. You know, and yeah, when I couldn't talk to her and she was telling that, you know, telling that stuff to the press, you don't think it sat there? And I mean, you know, I'm looking at this woman and I'm like, she doesn't owe me a thing, not one thing, and she's up there telling the media this stuff. And yeah, it was hard to sit there and watch that and not be able to talk to her. And you want to know the first thing I said to her? First thing I said to her is, "You're an idiot." That's what I told her.
Objection, Judge. Facts, not
All right,
evidence.
we'll sustain the objection.
Anyway, so to suggest that Paula has any motives other than, again, trying to give what she knows about this crime. Matt was her friend, too. No, I'm not her only friend. Matt was her friend for a very long time. And if she thought I had anything to do with it, she did testify to this. What was the words? I could burn in hell like the other two. Yeah. She's, you know, so no. The thought that she would actually be in that picture with me, making funny faces at the hospital. Do you really think she would be doing that if she thought I had something to do with this. It's like, it's insane, and maybe that's why I am so angry. It's like, it is insane to think that, you know, I go through 6 years and this is what they bring you. And this could be anybody. It doesn't matter. You know, I just happen to be the guy. You know, I happen to be the guy that's the one they want, right? Okay, it's, you know, oh, we can get this guy to say he did it. Okay, I don't even see the logic in that. If you've got, going back to the backpack, he saw me running down the street with this backpack, and I got things fumbling out of it and all that other stuff. Am I found with the backpack? No. He comes up with a story about, you know, how it mysteriously ends up in his trunk, but he never tells you anything other than that. He doesn't say I put it there, and sure enough, I mean, again, I didn't. He says I helped him, but there's nobody who saw that either, right? Nobody can prove that. Nobody was there to see it, but that's what he says, so it must be true, right? No, actually what is true, though, is he had that backpack up in Big Pine. And yes, it was part of the crime. And according to, again, Danielle Malone, it was not just thrown into a closet. It was actually placed up underneath of an air conditioner, right? Not like you just threw it in there. It meant like, more like you meant to hide it. Now, again, because Travis tries to say, I'm the one, right? I'm the one who had it. No, I'm not. And I keep on going through all these things that he says corroborates this stuff. I'm sorry, bless you. You know, and then, okay, he says he wasn't shown those videos. You know, he wasn't shown the Cosme videos until after his confession, right? Or no, he wasn't shown until after his confession. Yeah, it's true. He gave a confession, but he doesn't actually talk about the different things in the videos until after they show it to him. He confesses he was there. He takes, oh, I'm the getaway driver. Yes, just what you said, Captain Phelps, I'm there. You know, I'm the getaway driver. He says that he confesses to. But he doesn't give the details until after he sees the videos. That's what happens after that. You know, because, I mean, there's a difference between the confession and the videos. So, okay, then we go back to the vacillated thing. I mean, we already covered that. And let's see. Oh, that was another one. Paula. You know, the prosecutor liked using Paula's statements when he wants you to believe they're true. But then he, you know, again, when they're about me, when they actually have something to say about me, then they're not true, right? So it's only true if it backs up the prosecutor's story, not mine, right? But I will say this, is Paula did say that she wasn't sure, but Travis could have been the guy who was with Rory Wilson earlier that day when they came over in the afternoon. She says that. And she wasn't sure. She didn't know Travis. I mean, you know, that part everybody agrees to. And could she identify, you know, positively identify him? Not at that time, right? But she does say that it could have been, could have been Travis. So yeah, Travis may have been at the Treehouse earlier than the prosecutor suggests. You know, then we go back to, let's see, and you got to forgive me. I am not as polished as the prosecutor. I'm not a lawyer. I think we did this when we did voir dire. I'm not a very good, you know, I'm not the best public speaker or anything like that. But I did come here, you know, and yeah, I thought it was important that you see me for me. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's smart or not. I do know it was very frustrating at times, and I apologize for that. I'm not the best. And but we're almost at the end here, guys, as far as things go. Yeah, we already did this as far as I haven't been able to tell you the whole story, and that kind of.
Objection, Judge, to this line of questioning.
Well,
It's not questioning, and
sustain the objection to that
Okay.
argument.
Well, I would suggest this, that yes, as you know, as we can see, I don't want it to seem like I'm being untruthful just because I can't say something.
Objection, Judge, improper bolstering.
I will sustain the objection.
Okay. Okay. We you got the Paula says the knife is Roger's. And, yeah, again, it's hard for me because he wants to talk about, my conversation with Paula.
Improper argument, objection.
Well, I believe he's referring to the McDonald's.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so we'll overrule the objection, so just go ahead.
Anyway, I was talking about that. And going back to that, again, the prosecutor submits to you, there's no way I could have known whether or not it's Matt's blood, whether it was Matt's blood, Paula's blood, whoever's blood on the knife. But again, I was there for, I don't know, it was a long time, being interrogated all night. That's all I can say. I was there for a long time. And yes, I came into contact with people who knew things that I don't. So submitting submitting to you that there's no other way I could have known that is very misleading. And that's what look, when you guys go back there, I do think we made a great choice as far as the jury. I do. We've tried to find people who are going to look at this and look at the evidence. And when you go back there and you look at the evidence, don't believe my words, don't believe his words, I guess. Look at the evidence and see what it says. The evidence in this case, I'm not, maybe, again, you don't have to like me. You don't have to think I'm, I don't even, you may think I'm the biggest.
Objection, Judge,
whatever.
to the pandering.
Well, I'm going to overrule the objection.
Anyway, what I'm asking you to do is just look at the evidence. That's it. Look at what it says. And if it says that, I did something, if you think that, man, I did something based on that evidence, okay, fine. But if you're going to, again, I look at it now and I'm like, really? It comes down to whether or not you believe Travis. That's what it comes down to. And whether or not you believe me, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to think. This whole corroborating thing, that's for you to decide. It really is. Do you think that evidence actually says I did something? If you don't think it did, then man, I would submit that's reasonable doubt. I don't see where there isn't reasonable doubt in here, but that's not for me to decide. I know what I did that day. I know what I didn't do that day. You guys don't. So I'm going to have to trust you. I'm going to have to trust that you're going to look at the evidence, you're going to look at the videos, you're going to look at all this stuff. And then you're going to decide. I can't tell you what to think. But what I can tell you is, I can tell you that it's not as the state would suggest. State, they say they've made their case, they proved every element of their case. How is that proof? How is one man's word against another? How's that proof? So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to give you a whole big slick speech, but one of the things when I was talking about the lawyers and whether or not I needed lawyers, and maybe I did, I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I felt the truth doesn't.
Objection, Judge.
Overrule the objection.
I felt like.
Sidebar?
Yes.
told the truth. I gave you guys everything everything you can need as far as what they want to bring. I didn't object very much. It didn't stop them from putting things in.
Your voice up, Mr. Tucker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a,
So again, I gave you as much as the prosecution wanted to show, right? And while I didn't put on the defense I wanted to, I didn't. But there are reasons for that too, and I can't talk about them either. But here's the one thing, and I'm going to leave this at that. I'm not going to sit up here and go through everything again and just rehash this stuff. What I am going to tell you is that Mr. Mansfield said, "Don't be afraid to find me guilty." Right? Don't be afraid of it. And what I would submit is that you should be afraid not to find me guilty. That part, no. But you should be afraid that, man, any single one of you could be right where I am.
Objection, Judge. Golden rule violation.
I'll sustain that objection. But
Well, apparently I need to study up on my closing arguments, but I think you guys got the point. There's no evidence in this thing. We've already talked about that. Every single witness they brought, not a single one says anything other than Travis or Danielle Malone, who is basing it off Travis. So, Paula, you can believe Paula or not believe Paula. That's up to you. I can't tell you what to think. I can tell you that, yes, she did vacillate, to use the prosecutor's word, between different time periods, and there's reasons for that. It's not like this whole thing hasn't had things that have happened in between, right? But anyway, I am trusting that you're going to go back there and you're going to look at the evidence and base it on the evidence like we talked about. And I did tell you at the very beginning when we did Boy Dyer, I was like, there is this presumption of guilt, and now people have a tendency to think you're guilty, right off the rap, and yeah, the presumption of innocence is hard. It really is. But does the prosecutor prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't think so. I don't think there's any way they proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. Other than that, I gotta say, I think how I'd probably be feeling right now. But the best I got is, we put on a case, and they put on a case, and all I'd say is all that showing, all that thing you see as far as putting it up in PowerPoint, not a single thing that was up there couldn't be explained by Travis being the guy who was there. That's it. Simple. It made it very complicated putting me into this thing. But now, two people, it's real simple. That's what the evidence says. It says two. All the witnesses say that. All the evidence says that. So it's up to you guys to decide. I'd just like to thank you for taking the time, and for listening and for paying attention, and seeing what this is. But at that point, I don't think I have anything to add. I wasn't coming up here with a speech. I just was going to come up here and discuss what happened. Anyway, I thank you for your time, and like I said, I hope you guys can just go back there, look at the evidence, and look at it for what it is. See it for what it is. But other than that, thank you for putting up with me, putting up with this. But I think I'll go ahead and let you guys decide.